Let me tell you something, and I want you to lean in for this one. 'Cause when I say it's time to wake up, I mean it's time to open your eyes wide. I'm not just talking about the world outside. I'm talking about the new reality that's shaking the very ground under the old powers of the world. You ever seen a quiet storm? You know, the kind that brews slowly, silently, and then one day it tears the whole roof off. That's what India has become in 2025. A quiet storm that's roaring louder than anybody expected. Now everybody's eyes been on the West for decades. America this, NATO that, high-tech warfare, satellites, stealth bombers, drones that can think, and sure, they've earned that attention. But while the media kept panning their cameras westward, the real story, the jaw-dropping necks, napping history, making story, was rising in the East. Let me ask you something. You ever watch a man go from underdog to world champion, and all the while folks laughed at him, mocked his gear, said his tools weren't good enough, his budget too small, then one day, boom, he hits that punch. That one punch that not only knocks the opponent down, but shuts the whole crowd up. That's India right now. A nation that used to be called developing has now developed a portfolio of weapons so advanced, so futuristic, that even America's Pentagon had to pause and say, "Hold up, did you see that? And don't think for 1 second this happened overnight. Oh no, this took grit, it took vision, it took resilience. You think America got where it is just with shiny planes and Silicon Valley? Nah. They got there because they believed they could dominate the skies, the seas, and the code. And now India's doing the same, just in its own rhythm. It's got its own flavor, ancient soul, modern fire. Let's talk about the BrahMos missile real quick. You ever seen something so fast, so precise, and so deadly, it makes people reconsider their life decisions just by looking at it? BrahMos ain't just a missile, it's a message. It's India teaming up with Russia and saying, we can make something so lethal, so quick, that your defense systems won't even blink in time. Supersonic. Please try Mach 3. That thing flies faster than doubt. And they just upgraded it to BrahMos NG, which is smaller, meaner, and fits on more platforms. I'm telling you, America saw that and said, wait a minute. They're serious. But India didn't stop there. Nope, they brought out the Agni, V like a mic drop. Intercontinental ballistic missile, baby, and not just any missile. This one's got a reach that touches every major global capital. You understand what that means? That's not just defense, that's deterrence, that's chess, not checkers. That's India walking into the big boy table and saying, I ain't just here to eat. I brought the ingredients, I brought the recipe, and I might just take over the kitchen. And if you think it ends there, you got another thing coming. You see, DRDO, India's Defense Research and Development Organization, they ain't playing. These people are working day and night like their ancestors are watching, and their children's futures are on the line, because they are. Now let's talk about INS Arihant. You hear the name and it might not hit you, but let me tell you what this is. This is a nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. You know what that means. That means India can fire nuclear missiles from land, air, and sea. That's called a nuclear triad, and guess what? Only a few countries in the world got it. America, Russia, China, and now India. That's game-changing. That's power with patience. That's silence with impact. Then comes the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launcher. I don't think people give this weapon the respect it deserves. You ever seen a storm of rockets rain down with pinpoint accuracy and unrelenting force? That's what Pinaka delivers, and it ain't dependent on foreign parts. It's homegrown. That's the magic. You can't sanction it. You can't block it. It's born from Indian soil, Indian brains, Indian resolve. And while we're talking resolve, let's not forget the Akash NG surfaced, where missile system, fast, precise, and built for the next generation of warfare. It's India saying, you may come flying in, but you won't be flying out. It's a shield. And every nation with dreams of autonomy needs a strong shield. Now I know what some folks are thinking. But what about the tech? India can't be matching up with America's Silicon Valley. Well, let me tell you something. That used to be true, but not anymore. Enter the world of artificial intelligence warfare, and India's right there. Swarm drones, combat UAV like the Gatak. Now when you hear Gatak, you better listen. It means lethal, and this thing flies stealth, hits hard, and disappears like a whisper in the night. This is battlefield evolution. This is India moving from being a buyer of arms to being a builder of strength. And you know what's even more mind-blowing? These weapons aren't just for show. These are deployable, these are tested, and guess who's lining up to buy them? Countries that used to depend on America or Russia. The script has flipped. Even America had to sit up straight when they saw India testing anti-satellite weapons. You heard me. Anti-satellite. You know how crazy that is. That means India's not just playing on Earth. They're reaching into space and saying, "We'll see you up there too." They shot down one of their own satellites just to prove they could. That ain't noise, that's a statement. That's saying we control our orbit. You ever seen someone walk into a room where they used to get ignored, and now they command silence? That's India at the global weapons table. This ain't the India of the past. This is a nation that's been bruised, battered, colonized, underestimated, and now it's the one bringing innovation to the battlefield. Let's talk about the Tejas fighter jet. This thing right here is a symbol of pride. Light combat aircraft, homegrown, combat-ready. For years, people mocked India's attempts at indigenous jets, and now those same critics are putting in proposals for joint development. See how that works. When you focus, when you commit, when you stop looking for validation and start building from within, you rise. And when you rise, even the ones above start looking up. Let me tell you what sets India apart. It ain't just the engineering, it's the philosophy. You see, India's not just about building weapons, it's about defending its civilization. It's not driven by domination, it's driven by dignity, by duty, and that's something the world can't compute with algorithms or drone surveillance. Now you got missiles like Hypersonic, subsonic cruise missiles, adaptable and deadly, that can fly under radar and hit deep. That's strategic muscle, that's quiet power, and they named it Nirbhay, which means fearless. And I believe every time a young Indian engineer sees that missile fly, they feel that name in their bones. This speech ain't just about weapons, it's about awakening. It's about reminding you that greatness doesn't ask for permission. It's built in labs, in silence, while the world sleeps. It's built by young minds who believe in their flag more than their fears. That's India right now, and don't even get me started on the future. Hypersonic technology on the way, quantum communication systems already testing, cyber defense and offensive AI-based platforms. In development, India's building a digital armor around its military, and it's not waiting for applause. You know, sometimes power doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up with precision, with focus, with clarity. That's India today, focused, determined, and absolutely unwilling to be ignored. So let me say this to every young Indian watching this. Don't let anybody tell you your country is second to none. Don't let them talk down to your scientists, your soldiers, your innovators. The world is already watching. Now it's your time to walk forward with pride. Understand this. These weapons are not just steel and circuits. They are reflections of India's spirit, bold, independent, unbreakable. You ever seen a storm rise from calm waters? That's what America is seeing right now when they look east. They're not afraid because India's hostile. They're shocked because India was humble. And now that humility has turned into self-reliance, and that self-reliance has turned into strength, So don't wait for the world to clap. Build anyway, dream anyway, work anyway, because what you're building is not just a stronger nation. It's a new story. A story where the world looks at India and says, we didn't see that coming, but we should have. Because now the world knows and America knows. India's weapons are not just advanced, they're revolutionary. They're game changers. They're proof that destiny doesn't belong to the few who have had it for centuries. It belongs to those who dare to reclaim it. And that's what India's doing in 2025. India's quantum radar project threatens to nullify stealth aircraft globally. This isn't just a technological leap. It's a tectonic shift in the very nature of air warfare. For decades, stealth technology has given superpowers like the United States a near-invisible edge on the battlefield. With jets like the F-22 Raptor, B-2 Spirit, and F-35 Lightning Roman II, America's strategic doctrine has relied heavily on its ability to enter hostile airspace undetected. The core principle was simple: if the enemy can't see you, they can't stop you. That era, however, is rapidly closing, and India is one of the nations holding the door. The roots of quantum radar are found deep in the principles of quantum mechanics, a science India has steadily invested in with a quiet yet deliberate resolve. At the heart of the technology lies a concept called quantum entanglement, a phenomenon so strange that even Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Two particles, separated by vast distances, can remain connected such that the state of one instantly influences the other. This bizarre interaction, once thought to be nothing more than theoretical fancy, is now forming the backbone of next-generation defense systems. Traditional radar systems operate by emitting radio waves and analyzing the echoes that bounce back from objects. Stealth aircraft are designed to absorb or deflect these waves, significantly reducing their radar signature. However, quantum radar doesn't rely on traditional reflection. Instead, it uses entangled photons, particles of light, that are sent into the atmosphere. If these photons interact with an object, even a stealth aircraft, the entangled twin particles reflect the disturbance instantly. This allows the radar system to see the object not by echo, but through quantum interference. It's like detecting a ghost through its shadow in real time, even if it's invisible to the eye. India's foray into this highly advanced domain didn't come from a sudden decision. It was a calculated evolution. The Indian government recognized early on that future wars would not be fought with just guns and missiles, but with algorithms, data, and quantum principles. Institutions like the Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO, Indian Institute of Science ISC, and a host of elite IIT have been tirelessly collaborating on quantum communication, computing, and sensing. Their goal has been crystal clear: to develop indigenous systems that would give India an unassailable edge in surveillance and deterrence. In 2020, India announced the National Mission on Quantum Technologies and Applications NMQTA with a budget of 8,000 crore. This mission laid the groundwork for the rapid development of indigenous quantum tech. One of its keystone ambitions, a fully operational quantum radar system that could detect fifth-generation stealth fighters like the F-35 and China's J-20 before they could strike. This initiative wasn't just about catching up with the West. It was about leapfrogging into a future where India defines the rules of engagement. Quantum radar doesn't only promise to detect stealth aircraft, it threatens to render stealth technology obsolete. That's $1 trillion disruption. The United States has invested heavily in stealth platforms for decades, and China has followed suit. With quantum radar systems, India could see through the invisibility cloak both nations have wrapped themselves in. Imagine a battlefield where the enemy's prized assets are suddenly visible, vulnerable, and within reach. That's not just a shift in tactics, that's a rewriting of the global defense playbook. But building a quantum raid isn't just a matter of desire. It demands mastery over photonic circuits, cryogenic cooling, quantum optics, and advanced signal processing, all areas where India has ramped up its research over the last 5 years. Collaborations with universities, tech start-ups, and government labs have created a vibrant ecosystem. Quantum simulators, photon sources, and ultrasensitive detectors are being built with unmatched urgency. India isn't importing ideas, it's cultivating its own innovation garden, seed by seed. In 2023, several reports began to emerge from DRDO labs hinting at successful small-scale demonstrations of quantum radar prototypes. These weren't full-scale systems, but proof of concept models that could track drones and other small aerial vehicles in controlled conditions. What made them remarkable, however, was their precision. Even low radar cross-section RCS targets couldn't hide. This was the first whisper of a revolution. The world didn't pay much attention, but India's scientists heard it loud and clear. Now, in 2025, the project has entered its most sensitive and classified phase. Though officially unconfirmed, intelligence reports from multiple defense analysts suggest that India is close to testing full-scale quantum radar arrays capable of covering hundreds of kilometers. If true, this would place India in a highly elite club, perhaps even ahead of countries like the United States and China, who have also been racing to build similar systems but haven't revealed successful long-range tests. The implications of a working Indian quantum radar are staggering. For the Indian Air Force, it could mean having the ability to monitor and intercept threats long before they breach the line of control or the maritime boundaries. For the Indian Navy, it means maritime domain awareness like never before, detecting enemy stealth submarines and low-flying skimming cruise missiles that would otherwise evade traditional radar nets. For the Indian Army, it could revolutionize integrated air defense systems, turning them into hyper-aware, real-time monitoring behemoths that cannot be deceived by stealth tactics. But it goes beyond military utility. A functional quantum radar system represents a psychological weapon. It sends a chilling message to adversaries: your most expensive toys don't scare us anymore. The strategic calculus changes. China, which has long used its J-20s and H-20 bomber projects to rattle sabers across the Himalayas and the Indian Ocean, would be forced to rethink its posture. Pakistan, whose dependency on low observable drones and borrowed stealth tech has formed the cornerstone of its modernization efforts, would suddenly be playing with outdated tools, and America, long the unquestioned leader in radar evasion, would be forced to take notice. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Because for a country like India, which was once dismissed as merely a regional power, to develop a system capable of neutralizing the very essence of American air superiority is a development impossible to ignore. There's another dimension to this that's equally powerful: self-reliance. India's quantum radar efforts are being built with Indian minds, Indian resources, and Indian ambition. In a world fractured by geopolitics and tech wars, being able to build without asking is the highest form of sovereignty. This system, once fully operational, won't just protect India's borders. It will protect its freedom to innovate without permission. Quantum radar also opens doors to new alliances. Countries across Asia, Africa, and even South America have begun looking toward India as a defense technology provider, not just a consumer. India's stance of ethical defense exports, providing technology for protection, not aggression, has resonated globally. If India can offer even a limited version of this radar to partner nations, It could shift global alliances in its favor faster than any treaty or trade deal. Meanwhile, Indian startups are jumping into the quantum race too. Backed by government funding and a deep talent pool in optics, cryptography, and engineering, these companies are contributing specialized components, waveguides, qubits, photon amplifiers, and more. It's not just a military project anymore. It's a national movement. A generation of Indian scientists and engineers is being raised with the belief that they can outthink the world. And that belief, that fire, is what turns nations into superpowers. But the journey is far from easy. Quantum technology is fragile. A small misalignment in optics can crash the system. Thermal noise can distort readings. External vibrations can destabilize entanglement. It requires absolute precision. That's why India is investing not only in hardware, but also in building quantum talent. Universities are launching quantum computing and sensing programs. Scholarships are being handed out to the brightest young minds. Specialized labs are being built with military-grade shielding and cryogenic cooling chambers. And here's what makes it all poetic. India, a land where ancient sages once studied the nature of light and consciousness, is now at the frontier of light-based detection systems. It's as if the spirit of discovery that thrived in Takshashila and Nalanda has been reborn in the halls of DRDO and ISK. The wisdom of the past is not gone, it's just wearing a lab coat now. Let me tell you, this is what global power looks like today. Not just nuclear warheads or aircraft carriers, but mastery over invisible forces. When you can see what others cannot, you hold the true power. And when you build that vision with your own hands, no one can take it from you. India is no longer waiting for the world to hand over technology. It is carving its own path in the quantum age with confidence and clarity. India's scientists aren't doing this for fame. They're doing it because they know the future of the nation depends on it. Because in tomorrow's battles, the first to see will be the first to strike, and the last to fall. With quantum radar, India is preparing not just to survive, but to lead. It marked the birth of India's assertive military doctrine backed by innovation. India's quantum radar project threatens to nullify stealth aircraft globally.